is a game that begs to be played. It's designed to be used with your OSR fantasy role playing game, and it's designed to seamlessly integrate mass combat with your Shadow Darks, your old school essentials, even your Macahuitls. You could do it with that, right? But Basic Expert is a big fan of his channel. Interesting game, interesting Macahuitl. It's just like it sounds. Look it up. We played one really big battle right out of the gate to identify as much as we could that we were doing wrong. And man, did I identify a couple of things. One, in our last battle, we ignored this rule right here. Turn limits are an effective ultimatum when the outcome is at stake. The turn limit should permit an average unit to cross the area plus 1 to 2 turns leeway, right? The sun's going to go down. There's only so much time before you run out of time. So that's kind of important. That way you don't get bogged down into a slog. The bigger thing that we did wrong, though, was shooting. It turns out when you've got shooty boys, what you're going to do is, just to take an example here, I've got my archers. They're shooting at a medium unit. Take the number of archers, divide by 3. That's the number of guaranteed hits. I knew it was in here, but I couldn't find it, so I didn't use it. You get that many guaranteed hits. If I got 6 archers shooting at a unit of medium troops, divide 6 by 3, I get 2 automatic hits, and then I roll 2 shots. So I might get 3 or even 4 hits. There is an option if you don't like that for, I think it's over here in the indoor combat section. You can just say, look, everybody rolls a d6, and if you're firing at light troops, you hit on 4s, 5s if it's a medium troop, and 6 if it's heavy. But I like this guaranteed hit. It means that they're always gonna do some damage, but they're never gonna do all that much. So we'll incorporate that today. Now, the other thing that's important to understand is that I just threw a bunch of figures on the table. I wasn't too concerned about the outcome of the battle. And that line them up and fight style of scenario is a great introduction because you get all the flavor, it's all the meat and none of the fat. Now, today we're going to do much more of a role-playing game-esque scenario. We've got goblins, I've got 100 of them, goblin wolf riders, raiding a caravan, which changes the nature of the battle. The goblins want to attack. I got 2 wagons and a pack horse. If the goblin forces can make contact, launch an attack, and then get away, they will have stolen enough loot to justify whatever their losses are. This is not a straight up fight. Something a lot more interesting going on. Now, these guys are going to be halted as all of the guards scramble. We'll set it up so that the goblins appear over the hills on the south end of the table. And as they're crossing the table from one side to the other, the goblins appear, and these guards all leap into action. So let's talk about what we're looking at here. It's pretty simple. I used the AD&D Monster Manual to create a roster using the Merchant's entry under the subheading Men. You roll, I think it was 4d6. I came up with 130 guards. So I said, all right, we're going to do 30 medium horse. I know these guys... they're wearing chainmail. We'll call them medium. They got the swords, and they're protected by the lords. A little fleur-de-lis. He's got a little crown on his head. Obviously these are my Imperial forces. They're standards. Just squint. It'll be fine. So we got 30 of those guys. I got 3 archers, so maybe we can do archers correctly this time. And then 70, so 30 archers, 3 figures. 70 spearmen. These are medium foot. And then I rolled to see what else we got. And so you see these guys here with the kind of late or maybe mid-medieval, late Dark Ages, I should say. These 2 guys are our fighters, and there's 2 of them. There's a fighter 7, and that's the guy in front. Actually, we're gonna give the guy with the bird. He's our fighter 7. This guy is our fighter 6, and they are protected by a handful of fighter 2s. I also have a little bit of representation here. See? Look at that. I got the girl thief. She's on the table. Let me get it in. Let me get her in focus there. Hubba hubba. So we can play around with the thief rules. I didn't roll any magic users, which is probably fine. Magic throws an additional wrench into the works. They have to defend the caravan. Now, bear in mind that there are traders involved. They're hiding out with the wagons and the pack horse, right? They're non-combatants. That's what they pay these guys for. For their part, the goblins have mounted archers. See this guy with the bow? They got 40 of those guys. And I'm not sure about the measurements. We're going to talk about those guys during the fight a little bit. They've got short bows, which have obviously they have a short range. They only have a range of 7.5 inches. So I'm a little concerned about how well they're going to work, because remember, these medium foot move 4.5 inches. I'm playing at half scale because 15 millimeter figures. That means to be in range at 7.5 inches, these guys are going to be able to charge these guys. The humans can charge. Well, that kind of defeats the purpose of the light horse, doesn't it? Now, in chainmail, that's not such a big deal because you do have a half move. They have like a move, shoot, and move again. So we may need to incorporate that into these rules. I may need to look at Old Lords of Wonder and Ruin, also by the author of this fine book, by the way, who is Alchemic Raker. Follow him on Twitter, or X, I guess we call it these days, and then go check out. This is not I don't think this is available on Wargames Vault, but I do know. Ask for it by name, Hellmarch. It is available on the RPG. What do they call it? The bookshelf? One bookshelf? What do you call that thing? I never shop there. Anyway, so we got 40 light horses. I know they're wolves, okay? Wolves have 2 hit dice. Well, not these. These just have 1 hit. They're fairly small. The goblins are fairly small. I'm using, you could argue, well, and then things get weird. Maybe what we do, there are very easy ways to incorporate monsters into the game. What you could do is say, these guys fight as light infantry. They move as light infantry, but fight as medium infantry. Maybe that's a better way to do it. We'll call them medium infantry. Now, that does make them a little bit more powerful, but that's because we've got wolves on the attack here. And again, it's technically 10 wolves, 10 goblins. Maybe it's a 3-hit die creature, but in order to keep things relatively balanced, we're going to call these medium cavalry. All right. Same thing with these guys with the spears. The spears and the pikes over here all get that second rank bonus, and they have some effects if you're infantry fighting cavalry and all that stuff. So I got 60 of those. I've got 40 straight up wolves. They only have 1 hit die each. These are baby wolves, I guess. And then, or maybe we're doing a 5-to-1 ratio here. So, but either way, it takes 10 hits. Yeah, that's probably what it is. These figures are 5-to-1. Still takes the same number of hits. If this guy hits this guy, he kills 5 wolves. We remove 1 of the figures. And then, just to kind of balance things out a little bit for all these heroes, I went ahead and threw in some troll and ogre mercenaries, which have the same abilities that you would expect. In other words, our ogres fight as heavy foot. They roll 4 dice. So their job is to distract these guys. And then the troll acts as a 6 medium foot. Oh, the ogres are heavy foot. So they move and fight as heavy foot. The troll moves and fights as 6 medium foot. If he has any wounds at the start of the turn, he recovers 1 of those to compensate for his regeneration. See how easy it is to roll all of these special rules into a game like this? I've got medium cavalry that maybe there's only 5. Maybe that's the other way to do it. Maybe we say, look, this is a light, but this figure represents 5 goblins and 5 wolves. Now I've got 10, 15 hit dice, whatever, right? We'll account for that. And then what we're going to do when it comes down to single combat, if these guys, I don't think it's going to come to that though, because bear in mind, this fighter 7 and this fighter 2 bodyguards, they're going to be rolling 9 dice in combat. That is a really powerful combination. You're probably going to want to hit them with these 3. But again, because they are fighting as, and I guess we'll call them, now in Hellmarch, they do have conversion factors that are based on AC. And unfortunately, it's the modern world. Old man yells at cloud, "What are you kids doing with your ascending AC?" Looks a little something like this. When you are worried about translating, our game designer helps us. He says, look, if the monster's AC is 10 to 12, it's light. If it's 13 to 15, which I know, that basically amounts to 987, 654, and anything less than 3, we're going to count it as heavy. So maybe the ogres should really be medium, but whatever. I don't care. LOL. The other thing that I did, which is in direct contravention, I think this is absolutely hysterical. I got to call it out here 10 minutes into the fight. I went ahead and I tallied up the points values for the humans at 940 points and the goblins at 1200. Now, bear in mind that doesn't include any of the special characters, the ogres, trolls, and PCs, which, it's important to point out, are provided in the game in the section called point values. See, here it is right here. Point values. In point values, it says, the table may be useful for judging the approximate strength of a force. It is kept in this advice section for one major reason. Its use is highly discouraged. Players should not use point values to make balanced armies. Game masters should not use point values to design evenly balanced encounters. Rule of thumb, right? This is Kentucky windage. This is just to give you an idea who is going to be in a little better position. It's not for designing scenarios, and I didn't use it for that purpose, just so we're all clear. I used it just to ensure that the goblins had way more points than the humans. Because remember, the goblins aren't really interested in a fight. They're interested in loot. They have, I take it back. We're going to call all of these light troops. And we're doing that because they are using hit and run tactics only. I'm going to call the wolves. In fact, I think I wrote that down because I know I'm going to forget this. What did we do here? I said the wolves and the archers are light troops, and the spears are medium troops. All right, there you go. So they doubled up the medium cavalry, but they've got some bow cavalry, which Alchemic Raker seems to think is really valuable. He assigns up 12 points for each one of these figures, compared to like 8 for these, and for the medium cavalry, I should say. For those of you that are driving and not looking at your screen, good for you. A little crazy. Right? Not a balanced encounter. Wasn't intended to be. But it is the kind of encounter that you might have in your tabletop RPG. The action begins as the goblins appear over the hills and trigger their trap. You can see here we have our caravan is moving from right to left across the table. The stream is uncrossable. That could be a problem if these guys decide to retire or retreat, as the case may be. The outriders, I went back and I looked, and we're going to change this just a little bit. We've got 4 medium cavalry. These bodyguards are just regular medium foot with hand weapons. That way I don't need to worry about whether they have 2 hits or 1 hit. We may combine both of those into a single unit with 20 guys and send these 2 fighters. Remember, this is a scenario that you might gin up in a role-playing game. So in addition to the 2 fighters, you can see our thief is hiding behind the wagon right there. If she can move around and attack from the rear, she'll get double attacks. And because she is an 8th level character, she's going to be able to roll 16 dice. Powerful backstab attack. If we don't have the opportunity to do that, she's just going to keep hiding. Now, as I said, as the action begins, the trap is sprung when the goblins, the ogres and troll, knock over these trees, creating a deadfall, and the outriders, who were, traveling ahead a little bit, have pulled back to the perimeter where our vanguard, actually, I guess the medium horse of the vanguard, we have a problem here because the ogres trigger that trap right here by this thicket. We have to defend. Now, the good news is it gives less linear, line front to defend for the heroes. The bad news is it means they have to split up their 7 spear. They got to defend both the right flank and the left flank. So they've got 4 in the front, and then the rear guard kind of raced up and huddled up, and maybe they're going to come out just ahead a little bit because the archers are going to be kind of defending this right flank as we look at it from the point of view of the goblins. From the point of view of the goblins, their deployment. So what I did is I deployed these guys first because the goblins have the ambush here. I'm going to roll for initiative. But for now, my decision was to give the goblins the advantage of the initiative. The caravan has to declare their locations, and then the goblins get to deploy. The goblins opt to threaten the left flank with their heavy... Well, I guess the ogres are their heavy hitters, but as far as the mounted troops are concerned, the medium horse, they're going to be threatening this area over here. And the general strategy is to ride up on the right flank with the archers, pepper these guys, take as many casualties out as you can, bring these light cav, right? The wolves are light cav, bring them in to wipe out the rest of the defenders, and then raid the carts with the archers. Maybe we don't even get these guys stuck in. Maybe these medium spear guys, we treat it kind of similar to the way we treat lances. Ideally, the ogres, troll, these guys don't even get in combat at all because this is not a stand-up fight. This is not a stand-up battle. The goblins just want the monies. So who's going to go first? That's a good question. We make an intelligence check, which in terms of your classic D20, OSR means rolling D20. The red die will be for our heroes, the blue die for the goblins. We're going to give a +1 to the heroes just because goblins are kind of dumb. The goblins still get the first activation, and they actually get to choose. They can tell the humans, you go first, just to see where the humans wind up. And they'll do just that. The humans consolidate their perimeter. We're going to create a unit of 2 hand troops right there. We're going to consolidate the medium horse into a line, get them ready to charge. We're going to dare the ogres to approach us. Remember, medium horse can only move, they can move 7.5 inches on the charge. And of course, they're probably close to 9 to 11 inches away from the ogres. They're not going to be able to do anything. The spear guys move up. Maybe they drift over this way a little bit. And our 2 heroes, remember, this is our fighter 7. This is our fighter, I think he's fighter 6. He's going to move over to stiffen the spine of these 3 guys over here. And the archers can fire indirect. Now, I did move the thief up into this thicket. I know I said it's impassable, but it's only impassable if you're in closed order. And because this is a single individual, she's going to be able to move through at half speed. That allows our PC, right? Pretend there's a real live person behind this girl figure. That's going to allow her to move up and maybe get into the ranks and maybe backstab a unit at some point, which may be a real game breaker. Now, with the human turnover, now we have to decide, are the goblins going to bring those ogres and trolls up? And I think the answer is not yet. Instead, I think what we do is we bring our spear cavalry. They can move. So let's take a look at our rule book. It's so well laid out, so well put together. You just got to love it. Since we're doing outdoor combat, our medium mounted can move 9 inches. But remember, that does kind of change things. 9 inches, plus you get an extra 3 inches on the charge, or 6 inches. 3 for us. Oh, very interesting. That means that they can move a total of 10.5 inches. We actually could charge on the next turn. 10.5 inches. Knowing that, I think you have to, as the goblins, bring up the ogre and trolls. Let's try to draw those guys off. Ogre and trolls, they move as heavy foot. So we're just going to bring them up 3 inches. They're in loose order, which may be a bit of a problem for them when they get hit. After all, you're looking at 40 hit dice versus about 12. So these guys may be expendable, and maybe the goblins were counting on that. With the ability to move 9 inches, we want to stay out of the charge range of those spear guys. So we're going to bring our spear block up 6 inches, which will put them right about here. And now they're going to be able to dictate the flow of the battle. The wolves are going to move up here. They have the option of swinging either to the right or the left, depending on what happens next. The archers can move up to half speed. They've moved 6 inches. Again, normally it's 24. We're playing at half speed, half size. In other words, these goblins can move. Normally it would be 12. Now it's only 6 inches for us, and then they're going to open fire. But, and I checked this before I started the camera, remember, because they have short bows, they really don't have that great of a range. They do have a special ability in chainmail that I'm going to give them here, because this is kind of the point of light horse archers, that they can move half, take the shot, and then move half again. This gets a little bit weird. In other words, like they're going to move half and then they're going to be able to wheel and kind of get out of the way of the light. But it's not going to happen this turn. Now, the good news for them is that after all of the moving, because the archers are now firing indirect, they only have a range of 7 inches. And wouldn't you know it, everybody is out of range. It's almost like the goblins planned that. I'm not exactly pre-measuring. But again, if we use that 45, that's 7 inches right there. So that's going to be the end of the first turn. And because nobody failed a morale check now, it goes back to the humans to take their action. Remember, the archers get to fire twice if they don't move. So that could be a bit of a game breaker for them. The humans decide, yeah, you know what? We're going to go ahead and charge with our medium cavalry. This hero will also go ahead and move up to bolster these guys right here. The medium horse can move a total of 24 inches when they charge. That's 12 for us. As you can see, they are well within charge range, so they're all going to move and get stuck in. We'll treat the trolls and ogres as a single unit. They are kind of mixed types, but I don't think that's going to be an issue because they're in loose order. One last thing before we finish the humans' movement, we're going to go ahead and move the caravan up just a little bit. They're moving on the road, so I think normally 3 inches is appropriate. In this case, we're going to allow them to move up to 6 inches per turn, and you could conceivably come up with some rules for what's it going to take to clear the thicket. You need to have 20 guys take 2 turns to clear it, and then the caravan can get off the table, but I don't think we're going to need to do that because, well, I say this, but it's hard to predict these things. So instead of worrying about that for now, let's leave that as a judgment call. You can do that as a referee. And if you're a solo gamer, you are, per force, referee and player alike. For now, let's just figure out what happens with this combat. Combat and casualties are simultaneous. We're going to start with the chargers. The medium cavalry have 4 figures. They roll 4 dice, hitting on 6s. But because they charged, they get to roll an extra set of dice. And because they are cavalry fighting foot troops, they get to roll another extra set of dice. So 12 dice altogether. Normally, you're hitting on 6s. However, because we've got a total of 8 hit dice of heavy foot, and the troll is classed as medium foot, we're going to treat all 3 of these guys. Democracy rules here, I guess, even with goblins. We're going to treat them as heavy foot. And that means that the cavalry as medium, with the difference in quality, medium versus heavy, their die rolls are going to be cut in half. They're only going to be rolling 6 dice. Is that right? No, the difference in quality means, yeah. So normally, you're hitting on 6s. If you have the better troop quality, you hit on 5s. But because we don't, we're going to cut the number of dice in half. So we're only rolling 6 dice on the charge, and maybe we should have waited one more turn. Maybe this isn't going to go well. We might need to bring these guys over pretty quick. Anyway, we're only hitting on 6s. Yeah, this is not going to go good for our horse guys. I thought for sure this was going to go better. They only do 1 wound, which is going to be a problem. I will drop a single wound, and we can say, well, which one of these figures is it? On a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to be on the 4, so it is the ogre. And that's important because remember, that troll regenerates 1 hit per turn. And now we have a problem. Because we have a total of this ogre is going to be rolling 6. He fights his 4 heavy foot. So we've got 4 heavy attacks. And then we have another 4 heavy attacks on the cavalry. And then I'm going to use some blue dice for the troll. He is classed as medium foot, so he's going to roll 6 dice. The medium foot is going to be hitting on 6s. The heavy foot versus the medium is going to be hitting on 5s. And I'm really regretting not bringing a leader up. Although I don't know if the leader could have kept pace with these guys. So, red dice hitting on 5s, blue dice hitting on 6s. All we need to do is get 4 hits and that group is wiped out. There's 1 and 2 hits, and that will remove 2 of the... And there are 2 hits on the red dice, so that must be the ogres. And that means that the footmen, the cavalry, are going to have to roll a morale check. And the morale check works because they have a quality of... I really need to build a quick reference sheet for this. I'm a little surprised Alchemic Raker hasn't put one of those together and shoved it in my face. He's usually pretty good about that sort of thing. Go follow him on X if you really want to keep track of this stuff. Where are we at? Oh, we're looking at melee. And that means with medium we need to roll a 9 or better. But because we need to roll a 9 or less, rather. But because we took 2 casualties, we need to roll a 7 or less. We roll a 10, that's going to be a problem. But because the higher of the 2 dice is a 6, see that? We just make an orderly retreat. And an orderly retreat means make 1 full move back. Not a charge move, just a regular move. And because we have... Ooh, this may be an issue. Because the cavalry encounters another unit, that unit has to make a morale check or suffer a retreat of its own. With a 7, they're going to be okay. Hey, stand up, hero. And I think that unit also, because there's a hero within 3 inches, inch and a half in our case, they would get a +1 to their target number. So instead of succeeding on an 8, they would succeed on a 9. Either way, the 7 means they're okay. These heavy cavalry are going to pull back in good order. They have reconsidered the wisdom of their actions, and we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. Boy, these guys are a heck of a lot tougher than I gave them credit for in my scenario design. Oh, but I got a little bit carried away there, didn't I? The turn order goes side with the initiative moves, then the goblins are supposed to move, then the heroes act, then we do ranged attacks, and then we do melee attacks. I think it'll be okay because most of the action over here on the right side of the table doesn't really impact that battle. We'll let that stand. It'll be fine, but I do need to move these goblins. And the goblins are going to do just what I said. We're going to move the archers. They're going to make a half move. And I got to be careful how I do this because we want to save enough movement. I think we'll bring them up 4 inches. They can move up to half. And we're going to stop them right there because we want to be able to pull them back if we need to. Or we want them close enough to that caravan that they can take an action. I don't want these guys to get too close. I don't want them to get within charge distance of the medium foot. So I think we're just going to leave them back here for now. We'll wait until those ogres close in, and then we can have some fun. So that's about the only movement I think we do right now. I think maybe we'll bring the wolves up here just a little bit closer, give them a little bit more options, and then that's it for movement. So now the heroes act, and I did move this gal up, and of course these guys are in position. So the next thing to do is the archery, and since the humans have the advantage, since they have the initiative, let's do the human archers first. We'll get a little closer look at them though before we do. I did this wrong in the last episode. Thanks to those of you who pointed that out. This time we're going to get it right. The archers are going to fire at, I think we want to target these wolves first. They can fire indirectly. They are 7 inches away. Even the closest guy has a shot. So we're going to take that indirect. They can fire a total of 21 inches normally, which reduced that to 14 at half size. That means we're going to be firing 7 inches. It's fine. I've only got 3 guys, but because they're firing at a light target, we divide that by 2, and we're going to drop all fractions. I don't think there's any specific advice in this. The result is the number of automatic hits and also the number of hit dice rolled, which hit on 6s. So instead, why don't we do this? If we have fractional archers, I'm going to roll a die for that extra archer. Because we're firing at a light troop, that means we hit on a 4, 5, or a 6. So we automatically take 1 off, and then we fire 2 more, and we hit on 6s. All right, so no more. So we only got the 1 automatic hit. I think that's probably the best and fairest way of doing that, is you take the 1 automatic hit, and instead of just having 1 die because you lost the half an automatic hit, there's a 50-50 chance the second automatic hit becomes a hit. I think it made sense in my head. I don't know how much sense it really made. Then the goblin archers get to fire, and because they moved, they only get 1 shot. So we've got 4 shots, however, and the goblins are going to fire at the spearmen, and because they're firing at medium troops, we have to divide by 3. Okay, so I've got 4 archers. Divide that by 3. That's 1.3. We're going to do 1 automatic hit. Kablow. And you could roll, hey, there's a 50% chance they hit this guy and do a hit, but I think we're good with what we have. And then that's going to be, and then they have, maybe we just round up. You need at least a half to get the extra die. Because we're firing at medium troops, we're going to be that 1 extra die. Think about this. I think I like the idea of any partial you roll a die for. So because we're at 1.3, we'll roll the 2 dice, hitting on 5s. It just gives them a little bit more punch. And holy cats, is that an effective shot. So we've wiped out the spearmen. We've left only the hero. And this is, it's a game of heroes, right? It's a game of PCs. So you always wipe out the mooks first. They have limited plot immunity. I guess that's the other way you could justify this. They're done firing, and now these archers are going to take their second shot. But before they do, we have to finish the... And that's the other reason why the archers can't fire here. We need to finish the movement, And remember, it takes a full move to turn 180 degrees. So that's the thing with this. I think you need to. Archers, split fire and move is really hard. Because the only thing that we can do now is we do have another 8 inches of movement. So we could wheel these guys around. Alternatively, if you say, well, you could use half your movement, I think we just leave them there. I'm good. I'm just going to leave them. I'm going to let this guy charge them. Or maybe he charges these light wolves. Either way, we're in good shape for the next turn as the goblins. So we've done all of our shooting. No, we haven't, because these guys haven't fired. And this time, they're going to fire at the wolves, who are, again, within 7 inches. So because there's 3 of them, they're firing at light troops. We divide by half, and we're going to eliminate 1 goblin archer. And we're going to get 2 chances, hitting on 4s. And this time we get 2 hits, so that will remove 2 more archers. And archery is proving to be a deadly part of this game, isn't it, folks? We do need to do some morale checks. Remember, at 33% casualties, this guy's got to check morale. He's a light troop. With a result of a 6, he's going to be just fine. The lack of any leaders on the part of the goblins may be an issue. We may have needed to drop a chieftain down there to stiffen their spines a little bit. Casualties at 25. This was a unit. I think we give that leader, he's a PC. We're not going to make a morale check for him. We would be well within our rights to do so. We're just not. In retrospect, maybe we should have shot at the archers, but I don't know, because charging spear is not a great idea either. I think that's the end of the turn. Did anybody else suffer 33% casualties? No, they did not. Well, I mean, technically these guys did. Do they have to make another morale check because they fell below 33%? Or I think if there's a round of combat that knocks you below 33, I think the round of combat is the only time you need to do that. After casualties, decide to make a morale check. Is there a separate morale check throughout the round? Melee after melee. Excess casualties. Yeah, we might need to check for these guys again. Hopefully we roll low this time. Now that's a 9, but they are right near this leader. So that makes their target number a 9, and they're going to be fine. So these guys are still there, but we got some difficult choices to make now for the humans, particularly given that they've failed a morale check. The goblins did not. So the goblins still have the initiative, and the humans still have to move first. So I think in this case, we may want to bring the heroes. Boy, the archers are doing a pretty good job over there, but they're about to get charged. I think we need to bring the heroes over here. I'm going to do something a little sneaky. And I'm going to start by bringing these guys. These medium horse are going to swing wide. Remember, they can move 9 inches, so I want to get them away from that danger zone. And I'm going to bring them around here to try and sweep around this thicket, and maybe they can come in and hit somebody in the rear, which would be absolutely devastating. And why are you going to do that? Well, because my hero now is going to say, come with me, lads. I only have 4.5 inches of movement for these guys, which means my hero can move 1, 2, 3, 4.5 to the van, and he'll bring these 2 foot troops with him to give him just a little bit more ability to withstand the danger. And then I think that's really about it. I think maybe we bring this hero over here. He can move 4.5 inches. So he can come join this group over here. That's what we do. So he says, hey guys, I'm not going to stand here on my own. He comes over to stiffen the spines of this spear line, and our caravan is going to stay right where it is. I think that's it for the humans. Now for the goblins. Do we want to bring the 6 spear boys up against these 5? Do we want to combine it with this? And I don't think we do. I think we're going to go ahead and bring these wolves into contact. And remember, they can charge up to like 24. So the archers can shoot them at half of their movement, but because they're already within half, not going to be an issue. And then these archers now are going to be able to swing 7 over here, and we're going to go 2 more inches over there. And on the next turn, they should be able to jump into this melee, or maybe ride over and hit the carts. Do we leave them where they're at? I don't think we do. But we are just outside of charge range. So these guys can move up 3 inches, and they're going to be fine. You know, one thing I didn't consider, they're in open order. We should have cut their die rolls in half. Open order versus close order. Yeah, maybe that battle. Although they didn't do all that many, they only did two hits. So while that was a bit of a blunder, I don't think it's really that devastating or game breaking. But it is important to remember the loose versus open, and that's going to be the case. That's not going to be the case over here because we have loose versus loose. Now this archer used all of his movement, so he has no shots. The other thing we could have done with him is keep him back here, because then he can at least take one shot right there at this. Well, oh, you can't even see where he is. If we only move him half, remember he was back here somewhere. So if we only move him about half, actually, maybe we just go ahead and bring him like this. We're going to trust that we can win this fight. We're going to bring him up to here, and we only have one shot because we only moved half distance. With only one guy, we're not going to have any automatic hits, but I think we go ahead and we roll for the 4, 5, 6, because if we can eliminate one of these guys, I think we'll be in good shape. Well, we didn't. Okay, that's too bad. Maybe we get 2 shots next turn. That's it for the movement. The only melee that we have is the wolves attacking the archers, and it's going to be ugly for the archers. Maybe this was a mistake. I mean, after I rolled the die, I can see it's a mistake, but that doesn't make me a genius, right? Oh boy, I sure am good in a fight the next day. If you need somebody to help you out with a really good solid zinger, ask me the day after you need it, because I'm good at it in those cases. And I'm also, really good tactician when I know what the results of the die rolls are. I can tell you whether you should have done that or not. We have 3 wolves classed as light cavalry, and that means we're going to roll 3 dice. Now this is a bit of a slap fight because we have 3 light versus 3 light. The difference is that the light cavalry are going to be charging, which means they get an extra set of dice. So they're going to roll 6 altogether. And then because they are cavalry versus footmen, they are going to get another set of dice. And when you are light versus light, you are hitting on 6s. So 9 chances, we should be able to do 1 or 2 casualties. And we are going to get 1, 2, 3 6s. That is going to completely wipe out the archers. They do get an attack in kind, though. It's all simultaneous, right? The archers only get to roll 3 dice, and they are hitting on 6s. And I think they are they at disadvantage for being foot fighting melee? This is the one that I always get wrong. When you are, the difference in quality doesn't exist. If you have a leader nearby, which nobody does, this leader is too far away for the humans. Yeah, so the only thing we have here, cavalry versus footmen, get an extra roll. Since they are footmen against cavalry, we just roll 3 times. They'll take out one of these wolves, and because of the excess casualties, those wolves are going to have to make a morale check. With a result of a 10, they are going to retreat. Light troops, whether foot or cavalry, and that full move is going to bring them back a full 12 inches. Taking them, meaning they are not going to be able to ransack the caravan, which again, it's not great. Not great for the goblins, but it's not great that the archers are wiped out, but at least they stood their ground long enough to protect the goods for 1 more turn. That will end the turn, and with the failed morale check, the humans now have the right to decide who's going to act first, and they are going to declare, I think we need to declare that we're going to act, because we definitely want to charge over there. If we bring our 3 close-rank troops into this melee, if we can hold the ground, we're going to charge these 2 ogres. Oh, Mr. Troll isn't even a factor. The cavalry out here are going to spend all of their movement turning around and getting ready to flank and wipe out. They're going to try to hit this troll if he moves into the flank there, which of course is what's going to happen. So Mr. Troll is going to say, well, oh, interesting. Since we treated these as an open order unit, we're going to continue treating them as an open order unit. He can't fight. But that does, he can't flank, but that does mean that the troll is going to get his attacks this turn. That's a problem. Because they were fine, these light cavalry will move up 12 inches to here. And this guy will move 6, and he will move, and he will loot the baggage train. Now the difficult choice that the humans have to make is, oh man, see again, I got to move where you can see. So the wolves have come up close enough. Now the humans have a problem because they don't have enough troops to be able to defend the entire area. The good news is she's going to be able to move out, and she's going to move 4.5 inches. I think I'm looking for that backstab, but we're not quite ready. He's going to spend next turn looting the wagons, and she'll be able to get the backstab in on him. But these guys are going to be there as well. That's going to be a real problem. So I think that I don't think we charge here. We may want to bring these guys over here to intercept. In fact, that's exactly what we want to do. These guys are going to wheel a little bit, and they can move a total of 9 inches. We're going to swing them wide, and they're going to come right around to here because they want to keep the medium horse at bay. That puts the medium horse, there's only 2 of them, in a real pickle. And whether these foot can get over there or not is a question for another day. For now, our big question is we have 2 medium foot who have charged into combat against heavy foot. They are going to get to double their dice because they charged. They are going to be having their dice because they're fighting heavy foot. And then they also have the advantage of having a leader nearby, so they're going to be hitting on 5s. So the blue dice hitting on 5s. This is the leader 7. So he's going to get to roll 5, 6, 7 dice. But because he charged, he's going to get to roll another 7 dice. And because he is medium fighting heavy, we're going to cut the dice in half. So normally he would be rolling, well, let's see. If we prepare these up, normally he would be rolling, that's 7 and 7. We're going to just cut it in half. There you go. So but you know what I'm thinking here? There's our troops that hit on 6s. This is our leader who is going to hit on 6s as well. Because he is still a medium foot attacking. Oh, no, I'm sorry. These guys hit on 5s. He doesn't have a leader nearby, or maybe he is a leader. Let's just say they all hit on 5s, all right? So hitting on 5s, we're going to score a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wounds, and that will be enough to... Now, do we roll to see which of these open order guys? No, because we have 4 wounds here. We'll take out 1 ogre, and that is 5 casualties. You've got to remember that. And then we'll drop a second casualty. Well, let's roll. On a 1, 2, or 3, it's the ogre. On a 4, 5, or a 6, it's the troll. So we did 5 wounds. Now, the troll heals at the end of the game, right? They're at the end of the turn. But now we have to worry about the fact that you have 1 troll who is rolling 4 dice. You have a second troll who is rolling 4 dice. And you have, actually, ogres rather. So ogre, troll is rolling 6 dice. And the troll is medium, so he's hitting on 6s. And the ogre, so there's our 6 dice for the troll, hitting on 6s. Our 2 ogres are hitting on 5s. So the red dice on 5s and 6s, the blue dice on 6s alone. So the blue dice gets 1 hit, and so that takes out 1 of these guys. We have 2, 3, 4 hits altogether. 2, and that means our fighter takes 2 hit points, 2 hits worth of damage, I should say. And that is going to end the combat because the humans did 5 hits. I might have been doing this wrong, guys. Check me on this. Hit me up down in the comments if you don't mind. The big uglies obviously have to make a morale check at -5. And we're going to treat this as heavy boys. So their goal is going to be 7, but -5, so 2. They would fail on anything but snake eyes, it looks like. They got the 6, which means they're just going to retreat once in good order. That's going to bring them back about 3 inches to here. And at the end of the turn, our Mr. Troll regenerates 1 wound. All right, but what about this guy? Does he have to make a morale check? He won the melee. Do you only make morale checks if you win the melee? By the way, it's the end of the turn. That means that these guys have to make a second morale check because they took excess casualties. This is just a straight morale check. We are going to treat them as medium troops or heavy, either way, with a result of an 8. They're fine. They recover. That's the end of the turn. Am I missing anything? I'm not. The goblins failed a morale check. That means the initiative stays with the humans. And the humans say, you know what? We want to move. And we're going to pull our hero back to here. Oh man, our humans are probably going to get, they might get TPK'd here. They may wind up losing their shirts. So the humans say, because the humans don't want to get charged, we're going to try to charge this unit in the flank. And at 5 inches away, it's just not going to work. Because we're just... Oh, no, I'm wrong. They can move a total of 12 inches, which is 6. So they're going to wind up charging these horses in the flank, which means we'll bring these guys to charge them in the front. And he's going to drift back just far enough that they get the leader bonus. And that's really about all we can do. We might be able to wipe these guys out. But again, the goblins get to move, and that means we can bring these guys over here. And she's going to move up and backstab this goblin as he loots the wagon train. But these guys now get an opportunity to charge, and they can only charge a total of, is it 6 inches altogether? They are heavy troops moving outdoors. They can move 4.5 inches plus an extra 1.5 inches. So they only move 6 inches. They're just out of range. So they charge to here, and that's as close as they're going to be able to get on this turn. Still in open order. Got some confusing stuff going on here. We'll start with the thief making the backstab attack, and she's going to be rolling all the dice. She only needs 1 hit, and that's going to eliminate the light cavalry for the goblins. Then, I guess this is the attack where these guys, we might have been able to run them off. Maybe we should have said during the melee round, that's when you loot the wagons. So that would be a valid interpretation. I'm not going to worry about it because it looks like this, like I said, I don't think this is going to go well. Well, I didn't think it was going to go well for the humans. They may wind up losing some of this. And remember, just so you know, if you're in a campaign, your casualties are half dead, half will recover. They're wounded, but they'll recover. So the fact that we lost all 30 of our archers tomorrow in our D&D campaign, or our what is it, Shadow Dark RPG, 15 of those archers will recover, and we'll be able to continue taking the remnants of the caravan to wherever they're going. Of course, we'll wind up losing a lot of our goods, and maybe our heroes decide that they need to hunt down the remnants of these goblins or maybe the ogres, but that's a story for another day. That's the story for the second half of our RPG session. You can play this out in an hour and still have 3 hours to do the rest of your session. Be that as it may, we have a charge here, which is going to be 4 spear dudes who have charged and thus get double attacks. That is medium versus medium, so they're going to be hitting on 6s. I also have a fighter here who is a 6th level fighter who's going to be rolling 6 dice. Everybody's hitting on 5s because we have a leader nearby. Everybody's hitting on 5s. I got to roll these twice. So why don't I go ahead and grab 6 more blue dice? Although it doesn't really matter. We're just pointing out the fact that our hero, maybe he laps around. I don't know. It's fine. Oh, also, because they're flanking, they get an extra set of dice. Holy cow. Okay, that means with our extra set of dice, our spear guys are going to be rolling all of these dice, hitting on 5s because of the leader. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We might not even need the leader's attack on this. He's going to roll all of these and then half again as many, and he's going to get another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hits. So that's going to completely wipe out this unit. And in retrospect, maybe these guys, well, I should have measured how far they moved, because when you, oh man, that's another rule that probably would have come in handy here, huh? If you wipe out your opponent in an attack, you continue moving as the cavalry. So they moved 4 inches to get into position. Medium cavalry are moving 9 inches. They get to move a total of 12, which means that 4 inches will take them an additional 8. They're going to wind up right about here when all is said and done. Maybe a little out of position. I'm not sure. That will be the end of the... Oh, no, it won't, because our goblins get an opportunity to attack. Now, there are 6 of them in 2 ranks. They are fighting foot troops, so they get to roll 12 dice. And because it's medium on medium action, they are going to be hitting on 6s. They'll get a total of 1 hit, and that will remove 1 spearman. So in your campaign, 5 spearmen have been killed, and 5 will make a recovery. Maybe the next day, maybe you rule that they need to camp for a day or 2 so these guys can recover. But from our perspective as miniature wargamers, they are removed from the table. The next bit is that there's no morale checks to be made. So the humans say, we want to move first. And we want to do that because we want to bring these guys into position like so. And we want to bring our leader back so that we've got our troops lined up and ready to go. These guys are going to wheel around. They'll take their whole, well, you know what? They're pretty small, light. I think we're going to, maybe we want to go ride for there. You can make an about turn for half your movement, and then that means they're only going to be able to move 4.5 inches, and the wagons are in the way, can't charge through those. But our lady is going to move up to backstab these guys to no avail. They've got what they came for. They're going to ride over to here, and our ogres and trolls say, yeah, you know what? We're in loose combat. We're perfectly happy to drift back to there. That will end the turn. It is still but interestingly, it's the humans' turn to go first. So we might bring these guys, we might bring our medium horse. You're not getting away that easy. We can charge these guys, and that's going to lead to all kinds of problems. And we're going to threaten these. Do we charge here? I think we're close enough. He's about 6 inches away. We could charge the ogres. Bring her up for 4.5 inches just to encourage them. There's a lot of back and forth here. I'm a little surprised that this is still a game. Do we want to charge the ogre and the troll? I don't think there's any way we win that fight. I think we just move up here to... If we don't charge them, they could charge us and get the double attack. So I think you have to. I think we bring our foot into combat like so. And I don't even think... I think I shortchanged myself on the spears too. I think the spears... Oh, no, the spears get double attacks if they're in 2 ranks, but because I just have the 1 rank of 3 guys, it's a non-issue. My medium horse are going to be rolling to attack the light cavalry. Now, there's only 2 of them, but they did charge, and they do have the advantage of being medium versus light, and they did charge the medium horse in the flanks. Do open order troops have flanks? I don't think they do, so we're just going to roll the 4 dice, hitting on 5s and 6s. We're going to get 2 kills. The wolves, however, do get a counterattack, and more importantly, any loot that they were carrying gets dropped. So the goblins have not managed to get away with any loot. Our 2 survivors are normally going to have to suffer 2 attacks, but because it was a... Well, let me think about this. I haven't had this situation before. If you are attacked in the flank, so you get the advantage of flanking, meaning you hit on 4s. Yeah, so not a situation here. Difference in quality. I think you have a disadvantage because you were hitting the flank. which means the wolves are only going to be rolling 1 die, and with a 2, they're going to miss, so that's going to be the end. And then they didn't have a whole lot of movement, so we're just going to pull them up to there. Now we have one last combat we have to do, our spear line. We've got, and I'm just going to do these one at a time. I've got 3 spear guys who charged, but they're fighting heavy foot. So we take those away. So they're going to be hitting on 3s, or 6s, I should say. So we'll do 2 hits, and we roll to see 1, 2, or 3. It's the ogre. So they do 2 hits, 1 to each of these guys. And because of the position of the miniatures, I'm going to roll first for our 7th level fighter. He's a 7th level fighter, but he's taken 2 wounds. So I need to check the rules on this. I can't remember if this 7th level fighter rolls 5 dice because he's taken the 2 wounds, or if we continue to roll 7 dice for him. Well, the same thing applies for Mr. Ogre. So whatever I do for one, I have to do with the other. I'm going to go ahead and roll 14 dice for our 7th level fighter. In most of the tabletop games, and the answer is, well, this would normally fall into the D20 realm. This guy, you should be tracking how many hit points he's lost. Same thing with this ogre. He should be making 1 roll with a D20 to see if he hits AC 6. In the context of a miniature wargame, which is a valid way to do it, it means that all you're doing is adding the mass troop types to the role-playing game. I'm treating this as just a straight miniature wargame, so I'm going to say, yeah, you know what, as long as you're on your feet and fighting, we'll do it the RPG style. Meaning, I'm rolling 14 dice, and I am a medium fighter versus a medium foot. So in this case, it's just going to be a straight die roll. Count the number of 6s. I got 1, 2, 3, and that will be enough to kill Mr. Ogre. All right. Now we have our other fight. Well, hold on. Remember, Mr. Ogre gets to attack back. Mr. Ogre is not a leader. He's going to roll straight, hitting on 6s. He's going to get 2 more casualties on him. Ooh. The player of this fighter is getting nervous. He's down to just 3 wounds. And I still have a fight down here between a fighter 6. So I have 6 dice. Who has charged, so I have an additional 6 dice. And is a leader, so he's got advantage, but he's medium versus heavy, so he's got a disadvantage. So it's just going to be roll up all 6 of these. 6 of these? All 6 of these. All 12 of these. Count the 6s. See how many hits you do. And we didn't do any hits. The advantage of having a leader is negated by the fact he's fighting a medium foot. Oh boy, I got that backwards. I keep getting the confused. The troll is actually medium foot, so it would be hitting on 5. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4 hits, which would kill the troll. And I'm going to do that just so we can wrap this up. But the troll does still get his 6 counterattacks, and because he is medium versus medium, he's hitting on 6s. And so he's going to do 1 more wound to this PC, and that's going to be a table wipe. So we did wind up playing to full casualties, but you don't have to. I think the forces were probably too balanced. I think we need to add a lot more points to the goblins so that they can move in, do what they got to do, or alternatively, put the guards further away. Give the goblins a little bit more time to get in and drive off the nearby guards, and see if the nearby guards can hold off long enough for reinforcements to arrive. That's the other way to do it. Put these medium horse just off table and roll every turn. And on a 6, they arrive. And on turn 2, they arrive on a 5 or a 6. And on the third turn, they arrive on a 4, 5, or a 6. You don't know exactly when they're going to come, but you know they're coming. So if you're the goblin player, if you're running the goblin faction, you want to really get in, hit the wagons hard, and get out before the reinforcements arrive. And there may be a chance that, you should be able to overwhelm these guys fast enough, but for every turn you stay, you can also do a press your luck mechanic. For every turn you stay, every melee you spend in turn with the wagons, you get more loot. So then it becomes a question of how many turns can I loot the wagons before I risk getting caught? And, in a game like this, that might be a pretty easy calculus because we know the light cavalry are moving at twice the speed. So as soon as the reinforcements arrive, you're going to be able to outrun them. But, that's a question of scenario design. And I make no bones about the fact that I'm terrible at scenario design. One of the reasons I love a game like Hellmarch is that it does the heavy lifting for you. It does the work. Well, Hellmarch and your table of role-playing gamers do the heavy lifting for you. Through organic play at the RPG table, through session play, you generate interesting scenarios like this that you can game out using the miniature battles. In fact, I would be absolutely thrilled if one of my friends said, hey, we have this tabletop scenario, but we don't have the miniatures, Mr. Wargaming. Would you run that scenario for us? I've done it in the past. Remember, we did the epic original Battle for the Heavens on this channel over the course of a month that determined the fate of Stormbringer. Look for it down in the playlist. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, we use Dragon Rampant for that, but if I had it to do over again, Hellmarch would be my game of choice. What a delight. Thank you so much, Alchemic Raker, for all of your contributions to the hobby. You are a prince among men, and I encourage everyone to hit up your favorite print-on-demand site. I believe it's called something like RPG Drive-Thru with a U. And get yourself a copy today. It's like a gold bestseller on that. Platinum, maybe even. Man, it's selling like hotcakes. All the cool kids are buying this. In fact, so many cool kids bought it. Even I bought it. And there ain't nothing cool about this kid. But what is cool is you guys, thanks for sticking around. You point all the mistakes down in the comments. I try not to get salty about it because I know it's coming from a good place. It's coming from a place where you're trying to help. So keep it up, guys. You're doing great work. Love y'all. Till next time, I'm praying for you.